Have you ever been accused of worrying too much? I think we all have. In this day and age of worry and anxiety, it's so easy to worry. Paul writes in the letter of Philippians, chapter 4, starting with verse 4, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." I found it so interesting as I was thinking about Philippians and this verse about anxiety and worry, that we, as people of Jesus, as Christians, turn to the Bible frequently for support on challenges, and chief among them is anxiety, and all of us are very familiar with this Bible verse. I was doing some research and I saw that according to data released by Amazon, on the most highly highlighted passage in Kindle ebooks, so the passage that is highlighted most frequently among Kindle ebooks, one of the most popular passages from the Bible is this one, the one about reducing anxiety and finding trust in God, specifically Philippians 4, 6 through 7, which again states, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Most biblical scholars agree that the Apostle Paul composed Philippians while he was in prison. Greg Carey, a professor of New Testament at Lancaster Theological Seminary, told an interviewer that Paul was able to reject anxiety even during his own imprisonment, which makes this passage all the more encouraging because most of us are not currently in prison. Reverend Winnie Varghese said that although it might seem novel to see biblical writers addressing modern worries, this lesson is timeless and it can affect anyone. I think it speaks to how terrifying life often is, she continues in her interview, particularly when we're taking risks or being challenged by crises, which are all around us in the world right now. The life of faith is filled with the constant challenge to risk more, to become our true selves. The element of risk is embedded within this passage. The lines before and after Philippians 4, 6, and 7 encourage readers to rejoice in the Lord, but also to enact gentleness, make sacrifices for others, and focus on whatever is true and whatever is admirable. Brandon Dell from Brown University said that he often turns to biblical study to deal with school pressures and anxiety, and he finds this one to be particularly powerful because of its complexity. Dale says this passage shows the vast amount of love that God has for us and the trust we must have in God, but at the same time, the passage does not simplify the complexity of that love or that trust. Dale noted that Paul doesn't just write, "Do not be anxious," but rather says, "Do not be anxious about anything." This challenge can seem overwhelming to us, but it goes on to offer steps for reaching peace. Within the same line, Dale says, "I find tangible, definitive steps to attain this comfort, and that is by prayer and petition." Everyone can understand the feeling of circumstances that are beyond our control. We're living with that, surrounded by that, with the COVID virus right now. These things are often the things that we care most about, the things that we have least control over. But this passage offers us comfort. As Christians, we find ways to acknowledge our anxiety and even plead in our despair and feel that we are not alone because we know that God is there with us. Paul reminds us, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God in prayer. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I've learned from my own personal experiences, and I've learned from those warriors around me. It doesn't pay to worry. It pays to turn it over to God and let Him take care of all of those concerns. Blessings to each of you.